Hello everyone, this is SUDESHNA and today we are going to learn about a poem. The name of the poem is The Road Not Taken. This well-known poem is about making choices and the choices that shape us. Robert Frost is an American poet who writes simply but insightfully about common, ordinary experiences. Now just move on to the introduction. In the poem, The Road Not Taken, the road symbolizes our life. The poet says that the path that we don't choose in our life is the road not taken. He describes his feelings about that choice that he had lived in the past. The path which we has chosen decide our future, our destination. The important message that the poet wants to give is that the choice that we make has an important impact on our future, and if we make a wrong choice, we regret. But we cannot go back on it. So we must be very wise while making choices. Now the first stanza. Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it went in the undergrowth. Now let's try to understand this. Once the poet was walking down a road, and then there was a diversion. There were two different paths and he had to choose one out of them. The poet says that as he was one person, he could travel one road only. He had to choose one out of these two roads. Yellow wood represent a world which full of people, where people have been living for many years. They represent people who are older than the poet. The poet kept standing there and looked at the path very carefully, as far as he could see it. Before taking the path, he wanted to know how it was. Was it suitable for him or no? He was able to see the path till where it curved, after which it was covered with trees and was hidden. It happens in our life also. When we have choices, we have alternatives, but we have to choose only one out of them. We take time to think about the pros and cons of each, whether it is suitable for us or not, and only then we take a decision on what path we should choose. Now, second stanza. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was busy and wanted wear. Though, as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. The poet kept on looking at one path for a long time to check if it was the right path for him or not, and then he decided and started working on another path because he felt that both the paths were equally good. He says, just as fair, so he felt that both paths were equally good and started working on one of them. He adds that maybe he felt that the path was better for him, for he chose it and it has grass on it. It means that it was unused. Not many people had walked on this path earlier. That is why this path was west. And wanted were means that it was not walked over by many people. After he walked on that path for some distance, he realized both the paths had been worn out the same way. Both the paths were similar and worn out. Even in our life, we take any path or options, but all of them have the same benefit, the advantages, challenges, and we must face them. We think that we are choosing a better option, but it is not that way. Now, third stanza. And both the morning equally live and lays, no stave heads, frozen black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way. I doubted if I should ever come back. Now here the poet says that both of the paths were similar that morning. Both had leaves on them, and no one had stepped on them as they were still green in color. He decided that day he would take one path and keep the other path for another day. Although he knew that one way leads on to another way, he knew that he could not go back on the choice that he had made. Similarly, even in our life, once we choose an option, we must keep on moving ahead with that option, and we never get a chance to come back and take the other option that we had left earlier. Now next, move on to the fourth stanza. I shall be telling this with a sign, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. He says that in the future he will take a deep breath and say that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life that there were 2 points for him, and he travelled on that road which had been travelled by lesser number people. That decision of his made his future. Similarly, in future, when we grow up, then you will say that once upon a time when you were young, you had 2 options. The choice that you made you what you became of it. This is a very strong message for all the students, that you should be wise and be careful while making choices out of the options that you have in your life, because your future depends on that choice that you make today. So that's all for today's class. Thank you everyone.